Good morning,
Hey,
everyone.
hey.
So I've never been to one of your hot seat sessions, and originally I was just gonna like watch in the background and chill like a fly on the wall, but I found this sweet playlist on YouTube today from like ZZ Horse of all the processes.
I love that lady. I've actually bought some of her merchandise.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yep, she's got all that.
she does these drawings and I ordered like, I don't know, a couple packs of note cards from her or something.
That is awesome. Well, she has this amazing playlist of videos that are like specifically processes, like calibrating and focus wheels. And so I've been getting more into the processes lately. Um, so maybe if try like to calibrate to something. I'm like trying to grow an at-home business, and
Hmm.
I feel like I'd like to try and calibrate more to trust, like the universal abundance, you know, less calibration from worrying and like, oh my gosh, I need to hurry up and make this grow, and more calibrating to obviously it's going to be fucking fine.
Awesome. So the first thing, I'm not sure how you totally meant it, but when you mentioned kind of like trust the universe, or like I know you kind of said it more like trust that there is abundance in the universe, but it's also a great opportunity just to nitpick because I love to nitpick the whole trusting the universe thing whenever I can, because I see a lot of people being like, I just need to trust that this is coming.
Hmm.
And that is not true, you guys. We do not trust that something we want is coming because the only thing that is coming is something that matches how we currently feel. So if we're kind of worried or if we are kind of like not sure and we just try to convince ourselves to trust that everything's coming, like this is some sort of like there's some sort of like being out there who like is going to like advocate for us, that's that's not actually a law of attraction. Like if that's part of your belief system, I would never take that away from you because I think ultimately, like part of our vibration is what we manifest is also what we truly believe. So if you have a religious belief that is so ingrained that you truly believe that you're being taken care of, then that's wonderful because the belief, the true ingrained belief that I know everything is fine will actually yield you a vibration of everything being fine. However, if we're trying to tell ourselves this and we're trying to soothe ourselves with the thought that, hey, like I need to trust the universe that it's going to take care of me, and no. What we can trust the universe is to deliver us things that match how we feel. So if we're trying to do an at-home business and get off the ground, then the first thing we want to do is we want to be like pretty in tune with what we actually feel. Like what is that default thing that we actually feel? Because it's too easy. Too many teachers out there are going to say like, say your mantras, believe that this is coming. But if we try to jump too far ahead from where we are, we can say the right words, but inside we're not feeling it. And there's this little gremlin that's like, no, I don't think so. And as long as there's a little tiny hidden gremlin, whether you tell me about this gremlin or not, if that gremlin is there, all the energy work you do will actually work against you. And how maddening could that be if you're spending a year with sticky notes on your bathroom mirror saying like financial success is around the corner, checks in the mail, and the entire time is working against you because every single time you do the work, you're also pinging something out into the universe that also says, I don't think so. So let's talk about how you actually feel. This is not the time to be like, show your skills of like being positive. This is the time for you to like lay it out as it is. How are you feeling with your business?
I feel excited. I feel excited right now.
Great.
Uh, it's new. I feel like I feel the impatience. I'm like, what can I do? But then I'm like, no, the teachings are like, you're not supposed to do anything but wait for inspired action. So I'm just like trying to follow inspired action, I guess. But I do hear the little gremlin, just, I guess it's not about the business the little gremlin. It's more about like lack. And I hear it like it's separate from me. So I'm like, folk, like, hey, I don't need you anymore. Like about lack, like it'll come up with I don't know, a weird like lack mentality about something throughout the day. And I notice it, but now I'm noticing it separate from me now, at least. I feel like that's progress. And
That's great.
yeah, it seems like it's really lack. And I don't have the religious thing to rely on. So yeah, there's no trust in the universe. In fact, I grew up with my parents being like, you got to get like 2 jobs or you got to just find a rich ass husband. Like you have to work super hard
Oh,
to
that's the
earn
worst one.
everything.
I grew up with that too. My mom, like, and still to my mom's super into law of attraction, but she still has this virtue of like it is good to work 80 hours a week, right? And like she'll come back, and she bought a business last year, and she'll be like, oh, I was like there at 6 a.m. and I get home at 7 and I'm super tired, and I go to bed and I wake up at 3:30 and I have my coffee and I get back to work. And it doesn't bother her because she believes that that is good. And so like there's some part of that that actually like feeds her, because she has a belief that like you got to work really hard. And there's a differentiation kind of between like working hard that is forced action versus working hard that's inspired action, right? Because there's a big difference of whether you're like, oh, like I gotta motivate myself. I gotta do these things. I got to, I have to, you hear this? I have to do these things. I have to do this thing I'm not doing kind of mentality versus hold on a second. I'm still learning how to do the second camera, and I think I just screwed it up.
Oh, no.
And I'm just gonna start it again. I am learning. So yeah, so basically there is this kind of versus having this energy where like you're inspired to do something, and so you're just like, get out of my way. I want to get to my computer. I want to like get on and do these things. So you've got a few things in your vibration. You're excited about what you're doing. You're a little impatient. You've got a little bit of lack mentality popping up. And in the background, do you kind of feel like this idea of having to work really hard? Or is there anything in you where you're like, hey, I don't want to work hard, or I'm not working the way my parents would, and so I must not be progressing? Like, is that, you brought it up, so I want to kind of poke and see like how active of an energy is that in you?
Well, I definitely don't want to be working hard. Um, but I do still kind of feel like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, should I be doing something else? Should I be doing, if I'm not like doing the physical work itself, should I be taking another class or going
What's
to
your
the gym or anything
totally.
that's like productive?
What's your business?
I read tarot cards. I live stream on TikTok and have a YouTube channel.
Nice. Sweet. So, and then you are, and are you like in a position where like you have urgency to get this making money, and so you're like nervous about finances? Or is it more like, hey, I'm like growing this and it's okay for this to take some time? Or how are you feeling with that aspect?
There's like a little bit of urgency.
Okay. And do you currently feel like you know what you're doing, or do you feel like you're not sure what to do?
I feel like I keep making little changes that are helping, like fine tuning every single day. It's not about doing something. I just want to calibrate to these feelings of like, yeah, we're doing a good job and it's right on track instead of like looking at, since it's online, right, the numbers and be like, it's not growing fast enough. I just want to like train the
Yeah.
normal response to be like, hey, I'm still grateful for those 10 new followers instead of like, why wasn't it 1,000?
Yep, totally.
I feel like I know what I'm doing as far as the work and stuff goes. I just want to work on the feeling of being more like positive and grateful for what is
Yeah.
coming.
I totally understand that you want to skip this part of the work, because this part seems like it's not law of attraction, because I'm making you talk about like the little nuggets that don't feel good. But this is the first step is we really have to know where we're coming from, Because if you're trying to jump to feel excited, but you
Mhm.
are really far from excited, then you're not going to reach excited. And then you're going to be like, what the fuck? This doesn't work. So we have to
Totally.
understand the baseline so we can make a teeny tiny jump. So then you're left with being like, wow, I actually feel better right now. And when you actually can say like, oh, like I actually have this like weight off my shoulders and I actually feel better right now, that's when it starts to work.
Totally.
So the only time we never with law of attraction want to drill in on the negative feelings and where we were in the past or where we are, unless we intend to right away start defining the opposite and move in that direction. So we never talk to our friends about this part because likely we're not going to hop into the energy of having, right? But here, this is a safe space to like lay it out so then we can figure out what is the best small jump that is actually going to yield you feeling a little bit better. So we have to poke and prod a little bit just to see like what are those secret little things that like you're feeling. So it's kind of like you just mentioned, you feel like you're making little changes which are helping. But do you feel like you know the path? Do you feel like you know the next one or two steps to building the business? Or is
Um,
it like, hey, you do know this, you're just doing it while also feeling a little nervous at the same time?
I guess I'm just trying to do what feels good, really. So I guess I don't
Okay.
know the next steps.
Okay, that's totally cool. I like that. So you want to follow what feels good. So, right, let's just talk about like then this morning. So this morning, do you have how much could you like estimate what percentage of you is feeling, hey, I'm pretty excited about the day versus, hey, I am like a little nervous about things generally, the growth, the amount of interactions or whatnot.
I'm very excited about today. I have my whole day like planned, always available for change. But no, I'm very excited for today. I know exactly what I intend to do and what I need to do. So,
Okay, great. So you've got
yeah.
really good vibes, you've got a good plan, but you want to, so when these little lack mentality things pop up through the day, you want to basically, it's like I think of it as like you brushing your hair and you have a little knot, and then you get to the knot and you just need to brush it out a little bit.
Mm.
And so you can kind of go forward. So is that kind of what you would like to be able to do?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good too. I guess want to make my natural not notice the negative or the lack first, which I guess is just momentum and practice, right?
You want to not notice the lack.
Yeah, I would like to see something and notice the abundance first and not notice the lack first and have to switch it over to the
So you know it's totally okay to be aware of lack, because in your awareness of lack, you can kind of define the other part, right? So if you didn't have contrast, if you didn't notice lack, you wouldn't have a reminder to flex your abundance muscle. So you're kind of skipping a step here, right? You kind of want to just all of a sudden be somebody who is like your default way is to notice the abundance first, which is something you achieve after flexing the abundance muscle. Like one time I was out at Tanglewood, which is in Western Mass. It's this gorgeous outdoor amphitheater, not amphitheater, but the Boston Pops come to this outdoor venue and play on the weekends. And there's this huge like outdoor grass area. You can bring your picnic and your wine and you can go out there. It's amazing. And this one section of this area has this huge grassy area with a view of like mountains and a valley and this lake. And they offer yoga there on Saturday morning. So before I had my baby, who's now 2, I would go out there often just for this Saturday morning yoga. And it was amazing. And you can just imagine, like, right, you drive out there, you've got your coffee, you've got your breakfast burrito, you're having a good time, the whole day is set, you arrive there and you're just like, whoa, this is gorgeous. Like, oh my God. And then you start doing yoga, right? You start getting into it. And the teacher had then said, hey, don't forget to look up and flex that like muscle, which is like this idea of like, we got to do the yoga. We started off seeing this and what was in awe. And then we started doing the yoga. And now we're not noticing this crazy view, right? We're not in that state of awe because now our attention is focused over here. So the idea is that, hey, we have to intentionally look back over there and we have to intentionally flex that muscle. And if we don't intentionally flex that muscle, then we're not going to notice it. We're going to notice it the second we see it, and then we're going to go about our lives, right? So the idea here is that the only way to actually shift ourselves from noticing things like lack is to intentionally, whenever we can, flex that abundance muscle, right? Think of me as like a personal trainer, right? But rather than at the gym lifting weights, we are in the gym of our mind lifting emotions, right? Flexing and building the muscle of these emotions. In abundance, which is really at the heart of so much, like abundance is tied to wealth. Abundance is tied to, growth, but it's also tied to like abundance of like love in our lives, an abundance of beauty in nature, an abundance in like the coziness of our bed. And so if we want to notice abundance more, we don't want to be thinking like, oh, like I noticed the lack first and I want to see the abundance, because in that statement, we're defining, I am aware of lack. And as long as we are aware that we're aware of something, we're activating that. And so what we want to do is soothe ourselves, be like, hey, you know what? Noticing lack can exist, right? Even if you are like a really strong law of attraction practitioner, you're still noticing all this stuff. You just do something else when you notice it. So when we notice it, we don't say, oh, there it is again. I wish I was seeing abundance. Rather, we would say, oh, what a great reminder. Let me come over here and lift the abundance weight. So those little gifts, those little moments when you're aware of lack throughout the day is the only way the universe in a physical way can just kind of like bitch slap you to remind you, flex your abundance muscle, which means, but you don't have to do it on the topic of the finances of your new business. You don't have to do it on the topic of anything that currently carries a little bit of worry, because if you strengthen the abundance muscle with every other reason in your life that you have no resistance to, then you build up that emotion and it spills over into all the other areas. So when a lot of you guys know the story that when I went to manifest my business, my wine business 10 years ago, I spent 5 years manifesting a wine business without putting any effort into manifesting profitability or wealth. And because I assumed that was connected, right? I assumed that, oh, if I start this business, like that will come, but it doesn't. The only thing that comes is whatever matches your current vibration. So I had to start saying, but I was also $225,000 in debt from undergrad and grad school. I also had, used all my savings in the initial travel to start the wine business. So a few years in, my partner supporting me. I have all the student loan debt and have no savings account, right? And now it's like, okay, I have all these examples of lack around me. So how do I actually strengthen wealth? Because if I try to convince myself I'm wealthy, if I try to convince myself that, hey, the finances are coming, then my brain, my gremlin is going to activate being like, well, like you saw the accounting, like you owe $45,000 to the winemakers and you have, and then these 5 customers haven't paid yet. So, so that's what will activate. So how I had to activate the abundance muscle was to go totally off subject. And so I would stand out on my deck and I would just say, I would do a few things. I would know that, hey, right now I'm going to strengthen this muscle. I'm going to work this kind of abundance muscle out. And so I would stand there and I would think, wow, like this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous, right? Where I live, all these trees, my flowers, there's so much beauty right here. And then I would imagine wow, like at some point, like I'm gonna like own this. I'm gonna own this. And I can just imagine, a few years in the future when I'm standing right here on this deck and I'm gonna be feeling really proud. I'm gonna be feeling really, really proud. And I would imagine what it would feel like to not owe anybody any money. And imagine what it would feel like to then actually, because my partner had purchased a house at this point. I hadn't put any money in, right? And so I wanted to feel like, oh, like I also bought this house and I've also invested in this house. So I would stand there kind of thinking like, oh, what would it feel like when I have like reached that? And then, so I'm kind of doing two things. I'm going into the future and imagining what I would feel like that proud muscle, right? Like, oh, I'd be sitting here drinking my cup of, right now I'm just drinking my cup of coffee like this, like do. But man, like in 5 years or 3 years, or at the time I had no idea, when I owe nobody any money and I own this and I buy and, pay to get the driveway, put the driveway in. We had a dirt driveway at the time, and then I'm going to do this. And I was just imagining like when I'm sitting there feeling so proud, if all this happened, I would be feeling like I'd be sitting here, breathing deep, smiling, feeling really, really proud. Feeling like, wow, I own all this. I have this just like, I can do whatever I want. I don't owe anybody anything. And then just being like activating abundance by thinking like, wow, like this is beautiful. It is gorgeous here. I have fresh air to breathe. I have beautiful flowers. There's trees, there's little chipmunks, there's birds. This is a beautiful deck to stand on. This is a nice area to be in. So I would intentionally go there. I wasn't trying to stop anything, right? I wasn't trying to stop the guilt I had for not producing more in the world than I owed. I wasn't trying to stop, feeling nervous about my business finances. I wasn't trying to stop anything. All I was doing was imagining how good it felt to be proud, and also imagining, or not imagining, but putting intention on appreciating the abundance that was there already. And the reason is because it felt good, right? I'm not trying to get rid of anything. I was doing those things because when I did those things, it felt good in that moment. It was real. I was experiencing those emotions in that present moment. And the universe doesn't know that I don't actually have those things, right? All the universe will say in that moment is, hey, you are emanating abundance. You are emanating being proud. Well, let me help out. Let me bring you more reasons to feel proud. Let me bring you more reasons to feel abundant. And then now I am lifting the weights of proud. I'm lifting the weights of abundance, right? And now I'm strengthening those. So now I go out into the world, I do something else. And now, because proud and abundance is activated, it will activate more easily in other areas. So we want to allow anything that you're going through that seems negative. We don't really want to push against, because in the pushing against, we keep it in our vibration. So I would like to say, lack, when you pop up, you are allowed to be here. Thank you for being here, because you just reminded me to do 10 reps. Set the alarm for 30 seconds. Sit back, look out the window. Just focus on one teeny little flower, right? Focus on one little plant. Focus on one, get up out of your seat, go make a yummy cup of coffee, right? Put a little extra cream or oat milk in there, make it a really good one, like whatever it is, and taking that time to flex these muscles. And then now that is being activated. Lack can still be there, because as you activate abundance, being proud, whatever other emotions you want, lack just, kind of fizzles away. It's kind of like you just like void that little fire of oxygen, and it kind of just like drizzles away. So that's the approach, right? So that's the question then, like with some of the processes, how often are we doing these processes? Like, do we have a morning routine where we are just, we are like, okay, I need a really good morning routine. I'm going to do my list of positive aspects. I'm going to have a gratitude list. I'm going to meditate. And then we just like dive into our day, because that's a worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is for us to think that 10 minutes of work in the morning is going to carry us through the day. I'd rather skip out on that 10 minutes and micro shift all day long. You're already doing a good job because you're catching yourself. You're catching yourself, which is like, really, like, that's not beginner work. Beginner work is like wanting to catch yourself. You're already well on your way if you're actually catching. So you're catching yourself. And when you catch yourself, set the alarm for 30 seconds and micro shift, wiggle over to something a little bit better. And that is what is going to make a major difference in your day. My energy work, like if I'm going to do energy work in the morning, it's like a 2 to 5 minute thing where I've got 4 subjects. I intend to hit each subject for 30 seconds. And then that now builds it. And then I can ride that through the day. When I catch myself, I throw the timer back on for 30 more seconds. I wiggle back over. So I'm never doing like, I'll do the 2 to 5 minutes in the morning. And then throughout the rest of the day, I'm never doing anything more than 30 seconds. Because it's all about that micro shifting. So that was a long rant. So tell me, what's on your mind? Was that helpful? What are you thinking?
That sounds great. Lots of awesome ideas. Makes sense to me. Sounds great.
So let's make sure that you have somewhere you can go. So let's say that something pops up, you go in and you see, oh, there's 10 followers, there's not 1,000. So what would you do? Let's pretend that just happened right now. You looked at your phone, your YouTube studio, your Instagram, your TikTok, and you're like, oh, that's nice, but not that nice. What are you going to do?
Set my timer for 30 seconds and shift into something more comfortable, right? I
Great.
just shifted my desk over to face out my window, so it's a nice view all the time. There's something.
Amazing. So let's start. So this process is really called the list of positive aspects. So this process is totally Abraham Hicks process. I'm sure you will see the ZZ Horse has video. I've been watching her videos for like 10 years. Like those were some of the original videos I started off with in 2011 when I started all this stuff. Yeah, really good. And there's a lot of like old Abraham Hicks stuff, which is awesome on that channel. So so the list of positive aspects is when we create a list of anything in the entire world that makes us feel good in the moment. So and then it's basically we create this list. You and I will create your list in a minute. Then whenever we notice anything going on throughout the day that pings us, we pull out the list, we pick anything on there, we set the timer for 30 seconds, and we go with it. Now, the reason why we do 30 seconds is because we really want like 20 seconds of juice. And so we do 30 seconds, we'll definitely hit like 20 seconds. And we do this because it's way easier to increase our vibration going off topic than staying on topic. So we want the things on the list of positive aspects to make us feel good when we are at our worst, right? Sometimes when we're feeling really good, we put on, I'm excited about my business. But if the next day you're stressed and you look at the statement, I'm excited about my business, that doesn't feel good anymore because now you're low. So we don't want anything we want everything on the list to work. Things on my list. That amazing time I was on a beach in Fiji, I had the whole day by myself and there was just like some guy feeding me, like bring pina coladas over and over and over again, right? That like, I can go there in my mind, I can be on that beach and I can pull up that really good feeling. A really cute photo of me and my brother when we were little. I think there's even like a memory of like just like an amazing party I was at one time. The feeling of like finishing, like there's this one spot, there's this run I used to do, and this one spot being on a bridge where I just feel like totally invigorated. So it's like that one spot on this bridge. Or there's this one spot on this bike ride where, it's really hot and it's in California and it's really, really hot. And then you go into a cloud forest, Alpine Dam in Marin. So like my list of positive aspects. So no matter how low I'm feeling, I can go look at one of those, pull that feeling and then milk it up for 30 seconds. So let's get it started. So a good list of positive aspects is like, I don't know, 3 to 10 things where these things and maybe it's a beautiful flower, maybe it's your new view, maybe it's a cute, maybe there's a YouTube video of puppies in your mind that you can just like kind of go to and like think of cute puppies. Anything is fair game. So let's get your list started. So it sounds like maybe you have one, which is like your beautiful view now.
Yeah.
Would you say that, like, could at any time you think about like, wow, this view is really beautiful from your office?
Yes, I love the view. Is there any way I could make my list out of the hot seat, like on my own time, and somebody else sit in the hot seat now?
Yes, definitely, 100%. So
Awesome. But
you feel like you got the tools and you know what you're going to do today?
yeah, I'm going to do it right now while I listen as well.
Amazing.
Thank you very much for your time and doing all this and giving us all this great information. And I'm sure, just like the Abraham videos, everyone else got at least some benefit.
I know for
'Cause that's
sure.
always what happens to me.
Always, me too.
That's why I was like, I'm just going to come and listen because I'll just get some benefit anyways. But I was like, you know what? I deserve to ask for help too.
Absolutely. This was great because then we got to teach the list of positive aspects, which is relevant to everybody. So amazing.
And I'm
So
going to do 10 for sure.
Nice, nice. But you
Thank
know
you.
what? 5 is also a huge success. Full points for 3. Bonus points after 3.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley.